and jerk himself into the last step, instead of groping and fumbling the cap-rails like some stout trullibubs or senior dodderer more in need of hoisting aboard in a boatswain's chair. He had barely turned his 36th year, this January of 1799, and was still almost boyishly spry. That jerk was accompanied by a nearly playful hop or skip from the last batten to the snowy planks of the starboard gangway. When the officer doffed his hat, though, he did so with solemn gravity, so an uninitiated observer might have doubted his first playful theory. Said Newcomb lubber would have seen a slim man in his early 30s, who stood 3 inches shy of 6 feet tall, one who might weigh 12 or 13 stone, still wider in the shoulders than the waist, a man whose snow-white breeches and waistcoat lay trimly flat, still. He wore a good, hard-finished blue-wool, shore-going coat, laced with butter-yellow gilt trim on the lapels, the stand-up blue collar, the side pocket flaps and cuffs, with 9 real gilt buttons on each wide-turn back blue lapel. A fringe gilt-lace epaulet sat upon the officer's right shoulder, too, denoting him a post-captain, though one of less than 3 years' seniority. Under that expensive coat lay a white leather baldric on which to hang his sword. A discerning observer would have appreciated that sword, a 24-inch hanger, though he would have been puzzled by the scabbard, for it was of dark blue leather, not black, and both throat and drag were of plain brass, not gilded. The hilt, though, was gilded and most ornate. The typical lion's head pommel that swallowed the back hand guard, but the front guard that swelled to protect the user's fist was pierced steel, like a scallop shell, with a smaller second shell at the hilt's forefront. A discriminating man with a taste for blades would appreciate that the hanger was a gills, and, when drawn, was nearly straight on the back edge, the first 8 inches honed razor-sharp, while the lower edge was upswept to the point, so that it gave the impression of a curved blade hanger. A discriminating gentleman would have further ahemed over the cut steel square links of the officer's watch chain and fob, deeming him a man of good taste, too. With the officer's beaver-cocked hat doffed, an outsider would have seen a full head of hair atop his pate, still thick and all his own, of a middle, almost light brown, a tad wavy at his temples, over his ears, and loosely gathered into a trim nautical sprig of a queue atop his coat collar, bound with a bow-knotted black silk ribbon. The officer was much too sun or wind-burned for fashion in the better sorts salons, though. Not completely a gentleman, perhaps, the lofty observer would have sniffed. Too much the sea-dog, after all. The salute done, Lewrie clapped his hat back on his head and smiled at his first officer, his darkly, romantically handsome Mr. Anthony Langley. "Everything's in order, Mr. Langley?" he asked. "Nothing gone smash since I left the ship?" he gently teased. "No, sir, praise God," Lieutenant Langley reported. "The working sail set hung slack and allowed to dry, wood and watering done, and Mr. Coote's requirements stowed below, sir. Did you, find out—" "I'll be below and aft, Mr. Langley," Captain Lewrie told him in a mystifying way. "Give me 10 minutes, then do attend me, and I shall tell you all I have learned. Dismiss the hands back to their seeming drowsiness for now, sir." "Aye, aye, sir," Lieutenant Langley crisply replied, with a hand to his hat and a short sketch of a bow from the waist, as Captain Lewrie went down the starboard ladderway to the gun-deck, then aft past the bulkhead door and the marine sentry to his great cabins. "Cool tea, sir?" his cabin servant, Aspinall, inquired after he had helped him out of his coat, sword and baldric and hat. "That'd be handsome, Aspinall, aye," Lewrie replied, tearing at his neckstock and opening his shirt-collar. "Why, hello, Catlins, my littles, and what have you two imps been up to, eh?" There were many glad trills and meows of welcome, much butting of heads on his Hessian boots, perhaps a tad too much standing on hind legs and whetting claws in bienvenue at his white canvas breeches, those mischievous looks from both Toulon, the stout and well-muscled black and white ram-cat, and Chalky, the grey, smudged white yearling Tom, only half Toulon's heft, warned Lewrie that they'd be scaling up his thin shirt in their need to be newly adored. "Miss me, did you?" Lewrie cooed to them, a hand for each, once he attained the chair behind his desk. "Damn my eyes, you don't nip it."